yesterday. Now let's go to a huge matchup. Wah. Week 13, 8-3 Browns. Browns, guys, 8 wins this year. Heading to Nashville to take on those 8-3 Titans. Which team has the better duo? Those running backs, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, or Derrick Henry, the King, and A.J. Brown, Mr. Angry Runner?
I do not like this. I do not like this question at all. I hate this question.
Sorry.
This is the worst question.
Why do you hate this question?
Because I love these are my 2 favorite duels in the entire NFL.
Yeah,
I think the Browns backs, they're as good as anybody. And you look at Derrick Henry alone. He has put together statistically what the Browns have done together. Now you're asking me to add in A.J. Brown. Thinking this out thoroughly, I'm going to go with Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown, even though I feel like the Browns backs is the best duo in all of football. It's just the fact that Derrick Henry is by far the best running back in all of football.
Okay.
And if you're looking at yards after catch, A.J. Brown might be the best receiver when it comes to yards after catch.
And they're on the field together.
Because of that, I'm going to go with the Titans duo, even though this is the toughest Throwdown Thursday question.
You hate the question or you hate having to answer the
I had to answer the
question's a great
question's a great question.
Producers.
Great question. You're right.
Peter, Nate just said he thinks it's the hardest Throwdown Thursday question ever. We've had like Sean Astin versus Brendan Fraser, and those are hard. You think this is harder?
We had Rick Moranis versus Ed O'Neill yesterday.
That was hard.
I mean, gosh, and this one's harder.
What do you got, Peter?
I'm going with the Browns. I really am. And I said this earlier in the season. It's not one of these thunder and lightning kinds.
Right.
It's not Mike Allstott and Warwick Dunn where you're going to be, okay, that's the big back. They're very similarly bodied. Like, it's 2 punishing backs that are going to lower their shoulders and knock you over. It's 2 angry runners. It's relentless. It's every single time they touch it. And the truth is, they haven't been on the field together very long. And since they have been, it's been unstoppable. Just when you think you're going to get a break from Chubb, here comes Hunt, and he might even run harder than Chubb. These guys are
Don't retract your answer.
punishing on the ground. They're so good.
He makes a good point. It's like fighting Mike Tyson, and then in the second round, fighting another Mike Tyson.
Another one. I'm trying to think back at all the great running back duos that we talk about, and really it's like Ingram was the power back, and Kamara was a little bit more the finesse guy, and Brandon Jacobs was the power jack, and Ahmad Bradshaw was... I don't have a long history of 2 big power back. Barry Ward and Okoye, maybe. I'm going real back there. I think it's these guys. I don't want to face them down after down after down after down. They'll just punish you.
I will say, Kyle, they're not always on the field together, those Browns running backs.
Well, yeah, that's part of the point. Yeah. But they are together sometimes. They have packages where they run them both on the field at the same time. I think you're onto something. I made the comparison to the classic Hart Foundation, where it was Bret Hart who was the technician, and he was cool and he was slick, and then he would tag in the Anvil, who was just brute force. They don't have that. I think this is a really, really hard question, too. And yet I'm going to go with the Titans. I'm going to go with the Titans because the Browns throw the same punch, and it's an amazing punch. The Titans' punch is wildly different. I just am trying to put myself in the mind of a linebacker or a safety. Who do you would rather face? Like, the Browns are going to be a handful. But do I want to tackle Derrick Henry 7 times, and then on that 8th time when I come up to tackle him, there goes number 11 behind me, and I just got smoked? I don't want anything to do with that.
You have to if you're a linebacker or safety, you have to step up.
Listen, if I'm the safety, if I'm worried about AJ,
as soon as you
I don't come up on Derrick, I'm going to get destroyed. I think it's the Titans because just this, it's, someone taps you on your shoulder and then punches you. I think that's them.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry leading the league in rushing. A.J. Brown, 9 touchdowns in the last 8 games. Just unreal what those 2 are doing. Let's go to our final throwdown of this wonderful Thursday. Superior holiday spectacle. We all saw the Rock Center tree lighting. That happened yesterday. No big crowd, but it was really nice to see. Scraggly tree, according to Peter Schrager, or the Times Square ball drop on New Year's Eve, which you could not pay me $17 million to go to. Well, maybe.
No, maybe. I once knew someone who stood outside in Times Square, and it's like at 4 o'clock you get in line, and they're like, you can't go to the bathroom, you can't leave your spot, and you're just out there freezing. And yet that's the answer from me. I feel like everyone's got a tradition with the New Year's Eve ball drop. And it's not just the folks in Times Square. It's also everyone at home. Like, this is what you do. You gathered around, and Dick Clark would be on, and you'd be following it. And yet it's rocking New Year's Eve. I go that far back where Dick Clark was like a thing, and it was midnight. The Christmas tree thing was...
There he is.
There's Dick. The Christmas tree thing last night, like, I don't know. I don't have a long tradition of watching Lester Holt and whoever else talk about a Christmas tree. And
it was Al Roker.
Al Roker, Meghan Trainor,
Oda,
and a giant... she was like a bow?
Yeah.
Her dress was a giant bow. That was
giant bow, but I don't have a long tradition of that. That to me is rather new and a very cool thing.
It doesn't make an imprint here, I feel like, in New York. It's just like, oh, there's going to be traffic in Midtown. Great.
Yes, New Year's Eve, that was like the ball drop.
Yeah, I'm from Seattle, so we have trees everywhere. So like coming here and seeing a really big, I didn't get the big deal.
Ooh,
I got here 5 years ago.
tree.
They're like, do you want to go see the tree? I'm like, I'm surrounded by trees. I've been surrounded by trees my whole life.
We get it.
But
You have
the
a really
New
nice
Year's
house.
Eve, like ball drop, that's different. It's a different feeling. Even if you're not in the city, you know, and I've seen it from a hotel room, I've never really been in the thick of it. If you're at home, like Peter was saying, you still kind of get that feeling.
Yeah.
Like you almost want to see it. It gives you and this year, more than anything,
Oh my
with the
God.
way that 2020 has been,
Yes.
we're all waiting for that
I'm
ball.
going to be naked in the streets partying when that
God.
thing goes down.
We're going to have a different type of ball drop this year.
Yeah. Oh, boy, what?
I like the Auld Lang Syne. Nate, that's already happening.
I don't even know what he was trying to say.
When we've used that word ball with that other word
Please.
many times over the show's
I know,
history. Last night they lost me a little bit on the tree lighting stuff because they introduced the Goo Goo Dolls as a classic rock band.
Yep.
And I was like, what the hell?
You're out.
What in the name of the Steve Miller Band and Pink Floyd are you talking about? Classic rock is Iris? I love the Goo Goo Dolls. It ain't classic rock. This is wholesome and it's beautiful and it's great that we have the footage.
Tori Kelly, shout out.
Tori Kelly did about 20 numbers
her
last
hair.
night, and she had a animal print sparkly suit that I thought looked great.
Kelly Clarkson.
And then I don't know who that
Gwen
is.
Stefani?
Oh, that's Gwen. She did a couple numbers too.
Dolly!
Dolly.
It was a cavalcade of stars. And yet I'm still going New Year's Eve because New Year's Eve, with all due respect, is a bleep show, and I like it. There's a factor of everybody's hammered. Sometimes the talent is hammered.
Yeah.
It was a few years ago
Ends career.
when Jenny McCarthy was working.
Yeah.
And she did this gag where she was going to pull someone out of the crowd and make out with them at midnight, like a stranger,
Yeah.
which she delivered. I think it was a sailor, and like, God bless her, it was awesome. Like, that ain't happening on Christmas with the on-camera talent. I love that stuff. I used to watch Anderson Cooper on the ball drop,
Yeah.
And Andy
Kathy
Cohen.
Griffin and Andy Cohen.
Yeah.
I think Kathy Griffin was removed from
makes
it, but
and
she was
breaks.
wild. I like that more.
The people in the background too, you get to watch, like you said. You know everybody's a little bit tipsy.
Yeah.
So it's like people watching for
I would
most
have
of
to
it.
use the bathroom if I was drinking out there.
They do too.
Hey, it's
wild.
like Dumb and Dumber. Just go, man.
They just,
They got the wisdom.
When you first, remember when we used to work in Times Square?
Yeah.
And I remember when we got the
This is warm.
This is
Grace,
warm.
let's throw a big New Year's Eve party. We never did that.
we moved here
Never
before
did.
New Year's.
I know. That would have been awesome. Okay, at GMFB with your thoughts. That was third on Thursday. It was presented by Invisalign. Let's bring in Tom Pelissero. Tom, let's talk about Commissioner Roger Goodell. He was asked yesterday, excuse me for the punches there, about the possibility of a playoff bubble. Where do we stand?
Okay, the NFL has no plans to play the postseason in a central bubble the way that the NBA or the NHL did. But as Ian Rappaport and I reported last weekend, there have been more and more active discussions about the possibility of creating so-called local bubbles, isolating players and other team personnel in a hotel in their city, going to and from the facility only. Other than that, having strictly enforced rules about who you can interact with from outside of that environment. Now, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell did join NBC at halftime of last night's game and explained the thinking on that topic.
Our issue on bubbles, listen, the way it's perceived, I think, in the general public is that not something we would do because we believe that our protocols are working. We would consider further isolations to reduce the risks for all of our personnel so that they're not exposed to the virus and bring it into the facilities or to the club.
Now, outbreaks like the one that hit the Ravens are rare, but in the most recent 2-week testing results released by the NFL and the NFLPA, there were 156 new COVID-19 cases across the league, including 61 players. That is not a surprise at a time that COVID cases, positivity rates are spiking around the country. It should be noted that any additional restrictions would require the sign-off by the NFL Players Association.